Hello and welcome to another amazing video. Today's central question is, why is Miramont Castle haunted? Not is Miramont Castle haunted, why? What is going on here? Yes, today's field trip takes us to a Victorian era castle nestled in the Rocky Mountains of Manitou Springs, Colorado. We'll be touring the home turned sanitarium turned World War II survivor apartments turned museum. We'll cover reported hauntings and dig into the history to finally deduce once and for all, why is this place so spooky? Let's begin. I'll introduce you to the castle the way it was sold to me. Then you'll come to Miramont Castle for cute, quaint, cozy, Victorian era vibes. You know, they didn't tell me about spooky doll closet. I'm getting ahead of myself. Trust and believe we will get there. Fun fact, the castle's parking lot is the former grounds of the Montcalm Sanitarium, which burned to the ground in 1907. Very cool. And the cute little shed that I parked behind is actually a condemned tuberculosis hut. We love to see it. Right below the parking lot, they've got some beautiful garden plots that are also haunted by bees. It all started so normal and pleasant. Up the stairs from the lobby, the first room on your left is the parlor. And yeah, these were the cozy vibes I was there for. Very cool feature, the ceiling appears to be textured with human feces. Just a quick interior design tip, when picking out your paint color, it should never be smearable brown. A lovely dining room, they pulled out the fancy dinnerware for us. There's nothing more enjoyable than gathering around for a delicious meal under the watchful eye of Clarabelle. There's a lot of spooky pictures of ghostly children. I mean, the signs were all there from the start.
Hi, how are you?
We got some classical art, Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring. This image is especially notable because it's the first woman in media to slay.
You just got slayed.
Right next to the dining room is the serving kitchen, and this place is a mess. Cabinets open, dirty dishes, all this food is expired. Yeah, of course there's some spirits with some unfinished business here. Tell them to get down here and finish the business. Right, so up until this point, it's the things. It's cute, it's quaint, it's cozy. Well, jump scare warning in 3, 2, 1. Ah! I done spooked myself. Here we go. This is where things start to take a turn, and it's time to get into some of the history of the castle. The castle was originally built as a private residence of Father Jean-Baptiste Francolon. The son of a French diplomat from a wealthy aristocratic family, had not exactly given up his earthly possessions or fortunes in pursuit of his priesthood. He originally came to Manitou in poor health, allegedly due to being poisoned by Spanish Catholic priests in New Mexico. Sort of a Sharks versus Jets rivalry, I suppose.
Well, they began it, and we're the ones who stop them once and for all.
He came in pursuit of the reported healing natures of the area's natural springs and the fresh, crisp mountain air. It is also good for your health to put some distance between yourself and the people trying to poison you. That's just a friendly pro tip. You can take that. I'm giving you that for free. His doting mother followed soon after. Those two were inseparable, just the mother and her adult son. 2 peas in a pod. Very cool. They originally built just a normal mansion on the top of the hill, like a couple of pores. But then sense kicked in and they said, what are we doing in this lame mansion? We're so rich. We belong in a castle. Castle construction began in 1895 and concluded with its East Wing addition in 1897. Their former mansion next door was donated to the Sisters of Mercy for use as a sanitarium. As they say, one man's trash is a nunnery's tuberculosis ward. I know what you're thinking. That's so generous. Father Francolon sounds like a great guy. Well, not so fast. He was deeply unpopular, not just back in New Mexico when he was almost poisoned to death, but also in Manitou. I mean, listen, there's a common denominator. According to reporting in the Denver Gazette, local legend is that Father Francolon was doing things untowards with children. And it was the Mother Superior of the Sisters of Mercy who first accused him of such. Only 3 years after the castle's completed construction, the father narrowly escaped an angry mob and immediately left for France, never to return to his beloved castle. good. This is widely accepted to be the true reason for his departure. However, the official story remains, Mom got sick, so gotta move to France tonight and never come back. Perfectly normal thing to do. No funny business going on here. The Sisters of Mercy eventually purchased the castle as an addition to their Montcalm Sanitarium. I mean, business was booming for the sisters. Tuberculosis was all the rage back in the day. And the acquisition came just in time because, as previously mentioned, the Montcalm Sanitarium burned to the ground in 1907. Right, so real quick tally of the potential spirits who once inhabited the castle. You got evil priest, overbearing mother, accusatory nuns, and countless patients that died of tuberculosis. And we're just getting started. The beautiful chapel was once Father Francolon's dining room. The nuns converted the space to be a chapel when they purchased the castle. I love these statues, but can we get a bandage and some antiseptic for my man's open wounds? I understand we're trying to highlight the fact that he was crucified, but can the Son of God get a freaking band-aid and some Neosporin? Gorgeous as it is, the chapel is reported to be the home of the main unfriendly ghost in the castle. Castle historian Linda Pineda believes this spirit is attached to this portrait. It was believed to be Spanish Cardinal Fernando Niño de Guevara, who was a Grand Inquisitor during the Spanish Inquisition. You know, bad guy.
Duh.
A lot of people don't know this. Billie Eilish actually wrote that song about Fernando Niño de Guevara. Listen, we got fun facts for days here on the channel. And hey, if you're having a fun time, let's just do it right now. Go ahead and smash that like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos. Thank you for subscribing. All right, back to the video. The chapel, once home to Catholic Mass and prayer services, is now the home of cold spots, feelings of unease are being watched, and disembodied singing. There is nothing scarier than an a cappella group. Pitch Perfect? That's a horror film. Right off the chapel is the smoking room. Hey, this is Colorado. Sometimes to reach a higher power, you gotta get a little high yourself. That's right, those nuns were chasing that dragon. They were kicking that wacky tobacco. They're smirking that weed. No, but this was back in the day when people didn't know cigarettes were bad for you. You know, nothing takes the edge off of another long day of having tuberculosis like smoking a fresh pack of cigs. And big shouts out to whoever put the knight's armor in here. It wouldn't be a proper haunted castle without it. Behind the chapel and the former servants' quarters, we have military memorabilia and some photos from the Nuremberg trials brought back by Judge John C. Young, a Chief Justice of the Colorado State Supreme Court who presided over the 12th and final Nuremberg trial. And you know, if you have a space that is haunted, it's good to bring in things with good vibes. You know, like photographic evidence from the Nuremberg trials. The servants' quarters and stairs are home to disembodied knocks, footsteps, whispers, orbs. We got freaking orbs. Photographic evidence of dust. No, but this is another very spiritually charged area in the castle. The grand staircase is where a ghostly couple, fully dressed in Victorian garb, has been seen walking down. I don't know what's scarier, seeing a full-bodied apparition or that garishly outdated fashion. Fashion, mon frere, where? You look like you just tripped into the curtains and stumbled onto the runway. Disgusting. On the way up to the third floor, we're treated to some historical photographs, and oh my gosh, it's the TikTok couch. Honestly, those ghostly scratches people seem to keep getting, they might just be bedbug bites. Is your house haunted or is it infested? To the right of the third floor landing is the Solarium. It used to have a glass roof and was used as the surgery room for the Sisters of Mercy. Which is good because nothing bad has ever happened in a nun-run tuberculosis ward surgery room. This is the room where, trigger warning, self-harm. Legend says Sister Henrietta tied a noose to the radiator and hung herself out the solarium window after discovering she was pregnant. And that is believed to be why a headless nun spirit has been seen wandering the halls. Absolutely fantastic. If they ever host a ghost or legends tour, please go. This place is the proverbial onion with so many layers just begging to be peeled back. Directly behind the solarium is the guest suite. This is a 16-sided room, a hexadecagon, if you will. This was where a castle caretaker saw another full-bodied apparition through the window on the door to the right as she was closing up for the night. Honestly, all these full-bodied apparitions living in this place rent-free, how's about we start helping with the daily chores? These 19th century vases don't dust themselves. Post-nun sanitarium days, the castle was converted into apartments and briefly housed returning World War II generals. They needed a place to land and recover from the PTSDs. And where on earth can you rest, relax, and recover more than a haunted castle? Across to the other side of the building, we see this replica of a vintage Victorian bathroom. And yes, the toilet is original to the house. This toilet probably has the highest levels of residual energies in the whole house. The next room on the tour is Mother's dressing room. Originally designed to be her bedroom, it didn't fit her 13-foot tall 4-poster bed imported from France. So she had to take over the library and turn that into her bedroom. Now this is one of the sites where freshly made beds get rumpled and mannequins set facing one direction at the end of the day face another in the morning. I just know these ghosts are running a YouTube prank channel. Through the side door we enter the Great Hall, which once housed Father Francolon's extensive and valuable collection of art and tapestries. Today the Great Hall is filled with, oh good, just normal stuff. A small table with a crystal ball on top. Listen, if I can get a good reception on this thing, I'm calling dominoes. Father Francolon's sleeping apartment is at the end of the Great Hall and is well appointed with furnishings of the time. We got the chamber pot. Don't call it a pot. Pots are for soup. I mean, I guess it is a sort of soup of the day, if you will. Look at all this Catholic drip. Priest robes, dresses, for men. And yeah, that's it for this room. There's nothing else to see here.
What was that? Okay, James.
Up the stairs to the 4th floor, we enter the gift shop. All sorts of souvenirs and a special focus on tea sets. You'd be forgiven for thinking the gift shop means the end of our tour. Unfortunately, we do have one more spot to visit, and that is the 4th floor servants' quarters, featuring hits such as Spooky Doll Closet, Terrifying Toy Room, and Construction Equipment or Sisters of Mercy Surgical Tools. You decide. This area is home to the ghost of a small Victorian-era girl who likes to play with the dolls. She appears as a full-bodied apparition, and I'm sorry, but ghost children is gonna have to be a big, fat no. The uncanny valley instinct evolved to protect us from haunted dolls. My biggest concern with the collection is just the sheer size of it. If all these dolls came to life in a bloodthirsty rage, I don't think I could take them. The dolls had different homes in the castle throughout the years, but they have now been sealed in this closet. Is it to protect them from us or us from them? I'm not trying to find out. Across the hall is a terrifying toy room. This doll didn't make the cut to be in the doll room. This is burn victim Barbie. In the final room of the 4th floor servants' quarters, we have some artifacts from the castle's construction. There's a fairly early adapter of indoor plumbing, steam heat, and electricity. And oh my goodness, they even have a piece of original sewer pipe. You know, we don't have to put everything on display. Someone set the AC to 66. Not in this Christian castle. I set it to a more respectable 69. Nice. I did immediately put it back. I have a strict don't mess with stuff policy, even if it is so spooky. Guys, we gotta get out of here. Let's detox in the lush wooded grounds of the Victorian gardens. And what the heck, let's throw in one more reason as to why this castle is so haunted. The land was once owned by Colonel John Shivington, who led the Sand Creek Massacre against the Cheyenne and Arapaho peoples of southeastern Colorado. He led 675 men in the 3rd Colorado Cavalry to attack the village and killed anywhere from 69 to over 600, mostly women and children. And yeah, that's just a piece de resistance to this castle's dark histories. So, why is this castle haunted? Well, it's D, all of the above. Built by a reportedly evil priest, marked by traumatic experiences of troubled nuns, tuberculosis patients, and survivors of war, filled to the brim with haunted objects, all on top of land once owned by the architect of the Sand Creek Massacre? I mean, if you want your castle to be haunted, this is the blueprint. The history, the architecture, the legend, and lore, it's all just so fascinating, and it still feels like we're just scratching the surface. I would absolutely recommend stopping by and seeing for yourself if it's haunted or not. You guys, thank you so much for watching another amazing video. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. My only resolution for 2024 is to make more videos. So make sure you have your notifications turned on so you don't miss out. The next video, hey listen, we visited a Christian Communist Communal Society. We've now toured a haunted castle. Next video is gonna be a palate cleanser. We're going to the zoo. One of the world's best zoos is in Omaha, Nebraska. Who would have thought? Stay tuned for that and more in 2024. Goodbye. Frank Colin. Francolon. 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 Jean-Baptiste Francolon. 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 Jean-Baptiste.
Look, if anyone acts crazy, just let's jump him.